So naturally, I got a couple, 3 or 4 or so videos to do. This one is on 12 Obamacare insurance co-ops fold after getting $1.2 billion from the federal government, or taxpayers, that is. But before I get into that, I'll tell you this little story, a little personal story, because I'm kind of tired right now. I can feel it in my eyelids. And every time I think about like being tired, I always think of this phrase, "Help, I'm tired," in a Russian voice. "Help, I'm tired." When I was out of high school, right last year of high school, and then for a few years after that, so 90, actually 95, 96, 97, right around in the year 2000, so about 5 or 6 years, I was an auto mechanic, and at one point I was a service manager at this place. And I knew the owner and the brother from working there, and he says, "Hey, we're gonna go fishing on Johnny's boat." You know, the owner, and you want to come? You can bring your friend Jason or something. I said, "Yeah, cool." And they're gonna bring this other guy that worked there for them that was a friend of theirs named Darius Mazura, and he was, I thought it was from Russia, but he's from some other country, maybe Ukraine or something. And he came over to America years before and whatever, ran into them somehow. So he wants to come too. So okay, yeah, we bring him. So we're going out Tampa Bay, about 10 or 12 miles offshore. There's an old tugboat that sank or whatever. It became an artificial reef at that point. So it's a good spot to fish as well as dive if you want to do some spearing. And I didn't realize this because I'd never been offshore like that before, and I was getting seasick. I mean, when the boat was going, we were fine, but once it stopped, it started the rocking, the waves, and it wasn't real wavy, but it was enough to make me just sick. And my friend Jason, we were just like laid out in the front, the bow of the boat, just kind of like, it was overcast, so we were like, oh, just thank God the sun wasn't beating on us, but it was not fun. So Darius has to be in everything, and I got to be the best, and I got to outdo everybody. That's old Darius. So they're getting bait on their lines, starting to throw it out, and as soon as the bait gets down towards the bottom, the fish are just nailing it. Boom! They're pulling up fish. I mean, you could just throw it over. A few seconds later, bang! Just throwing them in. So Darius, he's like cutting it and trying to get on the edge. They go over there and they change the bait. Oh, I gotta change the bait. Let me go. Old Darius. So all right, we're done fishing. We're gonna go. The fish are biting. We're gonna go down there and see if we can get some big ones. We're gonna go spearing. So they put on their scuba gear. Keep in mind, you have a vest when you have scuba gear on normally. It's called a BC. It keeps you buoyant. It's your buoyancy control device. So as you descend or ascend, you can press the button, and you press the button on this thing, and it uses the air in your tank, scuba tank, to fill the BC, which then makes you go up. Um, you can also blow it in an emergency, like if you were just out of air, you could swim, use your fins, and keep yourself above the surface for a minute. Blow into the thing, press the button, blow into it just a few times, it'll blow it up, and now you're floating again. Just either way. So, and Darius, of course, it has to be a know-it-all, so he, I'm sure, knows this. So they get in the water, they're diving, they're trying to spear, getting some stuff. And Darius, putting his vest on, like, dives into the water. Got to get under the. I mean, just no waiting, nothing. Just dive in, go down. So 30 minutes later or so, the two brothers come up. I don't remember if they caught anything, but they come up, and then just a couple minutes later, in the front of the boat, about 20 feet, 30 feet off the front, um, Darius pops up. So me and my friend Jason, we're sick. We're like seasick. We're just like laid out in the front, just kind of hanging out in the bow. We hear Darius come up. We can see him. I think we're sitting up at that point. Sound like he said something. We're just kind of like, what? What did he say? Help! Help! What did he say? Help! I'm tired. Help! I'm tired. I'm thinking, so you were only down for 30 minutes. You got plenty of air left. Push the button. You'll float. Doesn't make sense to me. So I'm not sure. Like, what is he saying? I'm tired, so I'm like resting now, or? But then I remember, the help. Help! I'm tired. So his friend who came along dives in to try and help him. They get up to the bow of the boat. Keeping in mind, it's up, I can't reach down and like grab you. It's too tall, but I can hang off the front and put my foot down, and you can, put your weight belt on my foot. So that's what he's doing. Hey, grab these thing. He's like, keeping in mind, he's got a weight belt on. That's what helps you go down. But you don't want, if your vest isn't buoyant, there's no air in it. You're trying to sink like a rock, and the only thing keeping you afloat is you paddling with your damn flippers as fast as you can to keep you above the water, right? So he's doing that the whole way over here. I don't know that. Again, I'm thinking any moron would know this. If you know how to scuba dive, you know how to use that vest. If you don't, you ain't got no business being in the water. Period. So he gets up to the bow of the boat, grab these things. I'm like, grab. I'm thinking, what? Why are you trying to throw something over the front of the boat? The back of the boat's got the ladder and everything. Like, what is he doing? He's taking the dive belt off. He's trying to, grab these things. Grab the goddamn thing. So I just dangle my foot down. He puts it on there, and I pull it up with my foot. I'm still thinking, like, why don't you just blow the vest up? What are you doing? So he was tired. Help! I'm tired. Means in Ukrainian speech, I'm exhausted and I can't keep myself above water. Help me. Why don't you just pump up your BC? You could press the button, which costs you no energy. Matter of fact, you could hold your breath and start to sink and press that up, and it fills up so fast you almost won't even go down. You might barely go down and then pop right back up instantly. Um, or again, blowing it in an emergency if you didn't have air. So every time someone says I'm tired, or like my friends, or especially my friend Jason, I'm kind of tired, we just look instantly, help, I'm tired. That's what we say. So that's a little bonus beginning speech to lighten the mood, because I ain't got nothing good to report in these next few videos. Nothing. So I was feeling kind of tired. Help, help, I'm tired. But now that I told you that story, it kind of woke me up a little bit, reminded me of some old fun times. 12 Obamacare insurance co-ops fold after getting 1.2 billion from the federal government. Of course, that's the taxpayers. Now, keep in mind, I'm just reading. I thought to myself, should I send myself this link to do a video later or tomorrow, or whatever? Maybe not. Been talking a lot about the pensions lately. I don't think anyone wants any more pension doom at the moment. Was just doing an interview or chat with the guys from Future Money Trends, which should upload the video tomorrow or the next day. And we got into the conversation of pensions. And now Chicago is in deep trouble because their Supreme Court ruled, Rahm Emanuel, no, you can't do any kind of negotiating or changing the pension. You must pay for it. Find a way to pay for it. Uh, Excuse me, but by the year 2024, it'll be wiped out if we don't make change. Sorry, you have to deal with that later. And they're talking about he raised taxes on housing property taxes $588 million with a promise to raise it another 100 and something million in the near future. And it still ain't enough. So while I think about that, he's still not at $1 billion, 588 plus 100 something. We'll just call it a cool 700 billion, million, excuse me, million. I can't help but to notice his right hand man, Obama. Obamacare insurance co-ops fold after getting 1.2 billion from the government, i.e., taxpayer. You could have helped the Chicago pension system with that money, couldn't you have? Sorry. This has left 740,000 people in more than a dozen states scrambling for medical coverage. Now, where have we heard that before? And how many times since Obamacare started? More than half of the government funded nonprofit health insurers created by Obama have failed, sticking taxpayers with a $1.2 billion tab and leaving hundreds of thousands of people in more than a dozen states scrambling for medical coverage, a new federal audit reveals. And if there wasn't a federal audit, would we have even heard about this? The nonprofit insurers are known as Consumer Operated and Oriented Plan Program, or co-op, and the Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, has pumped 2.4 billion into them under the president's hostile takeover of the nation's healthcare system. Congress initially allocated $6 billion for the Obamacare co-op program, with the goal of establishing co-ops in all 50 states as well as the District of Columbia. Thankfully, subsequent legislation slashed funding for the ill-fated experiment. In all, HHS has funded 23 of these dubious enterprises, and 12 have already gone under after losing an astounding $1.2 billion. That's unlikely to ever be recovered. As a result, 740,000 people in 14 states must search for new medical coverage they thought they had under the disastrous Obamacare plan. Every resident of the United States who pays taxes should be outraged by this monstrous failure, exposed in great detail in a scathing report published by the Senate Homeland Security and Government Affairs Committee. The committee's probe reveals that even when the co-ops showed clear signs of financial failure, HHS kept giving them huge amounts of money in the forms of loans the agency knew would never be repaid. In fact, HHS officials knew of serious problems with enrollment strategies, financial forecasts, management, and pricing before approving the first loan, according to the panel's finding. HHS approved the failed co-ops despite receiving specific warnings from a third-party analyst about weaknesses in their business plans, the report states. So, who paid for the third-party analyst? You, me, okay. They did their job. That turd's going to fail. Close it down. Nope. We'll give them some more money. You paid again. I paid again. We call that a double whammy. The co-ops ultimately racked up a breathtaking $376 million in losses in 2014. Get ready for this. And more than $1 billion in losses in 2015. Yet the cash kept flowing in, or loans. HHS knew how serious the problem was, according to the report, yet kept filling the co-op's coffers. By the end of 2014, the 12 collapsed insurance nonprofits had already exceeded their projected worst-case scenarios by more than 263 million, 4 times more than what they initially projected. Yeah, things aren't looking good. This is what our projection is. Excuse me, can we talk about that? It's 4 times worse than your worst-case scenario. Couldn't immediately be reached for comment. Oh, okay, gotcha. Sorry about that. Wow. By the end of 2014, the 12 collapsed insurance nonprofits had already exceeded their projected worst-case scenarios by more than 263 million, 4 times more than what they initially projected. Incredibly, that didn't stop at all Obama's minions at the HHS from doling out another 848 million, even as the co-ops were on a downhill spiral. Even though HHS was aware of serious financial distress suffered by the co-ops in 2014, it failed to take any corrective action or enhance oversight for more than a year. The Senate investigation found, confirming that the health agency regularly received key financial information from the co-ops that clearly showed the failed insurers experienced severe financial losses that quickly exceeded even the worst case loss projections. End quote. And then they said here, if elected, Hillary will continue to fund the socialist stink bomb Obamacare, a colossal waste of money, with the end result being more costly healthcare. Couldn't have said it better myself. One after another, fail, fail, fail. Exchanges. Oh, we're not making money. Close that one down. We're not making money. State run exchange. Close that one down. Close them all down. If you take that money that was absolutely wasted and lost, and then looked at the pension system in different states, like Chicago or Detroit, some of the worst ones. and you just get, it probably wouldn't take all the money, just some of the money. Here you go. Their problems could be solved. Their problems could be solved. But instead, that's not the case. That money's gone, and the pension system is still grossly underfunded. And now the Mr. Rahm Emanuel needs to find some interesting ways to get the remaining middle class tax-paying citizens to fork over even more money to cover those pension costs. Once again, I will end this video saying a new phrase that I'm starting to say a lot. These are all symptoms of a dying empire. Take care.